Call to order the City of Delaware Beach Communication Advisory Committee, Wednesday, June 24th at 6 p.m. Will you all please rise and pledge allegiance? I know it's not on the
Yeah.
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Jenny, will you call the roll?
Charlotte DeMolay, Dave Gaddis,
Here.
Kathleen Glazier, Leslie Notero,
Here.
Robert Risberg,
Here.
Michael Zabel,
Here.
and Tony Gatliff hasn't arrived, and City Manager Lynn Reeves.
Thank you. The first item is the approval of our June 15th minutes. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second?
Could you speak into the microphone?
I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Any comments, changes, questions? Okay. All in favor of approving the June 15th minutes?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay. Yes, unanimously. Okay. What we're really looking at today is discussion of the committee's deliverables, recommendations on how to improve communications, and I think you all have in front of you a packet of materials that various people have sent in to Patty, that she's sending out to us. So this first one, the ideas and thoughts, this is from whom?
This is for me.
Okay. Want to
Yeah, so I kind of broken down the basic ideas of what we're trying to do. I feel like the first thing we need to do is not necessarily decide what needs to go out, because most of it's going to go out. The most important thing is how we're going to get it out. So my opinion is we establish first how we get information out, then we can fill in that information and send it out. The various ways we can do it, we've been through the last one. As far as, you got my ideas here. Postcard mail to the home initially with options of how they want to get their info. Do they want to get it through email? Do they want to go to social media, Facebook? Do they want to get a regular mail sent to them? And then after that, that's just, the people that reply will be the ones that we're going to deal with. There will be some, I think we discussed, that just will not reply. They won't take part in the process. They're really not interested in what goes on here unless it directly affects them. So I think all we'll really be able to deal with in the end is those that reply to us. The rest, and then the ones that don't, will get information probably through the website, or if we, determine to send something out some other way. As far as social media, I'm pretty set. I just don't think it's a good idea that we get involved in a conversation with owners. And I say property owners because, frankly, that's who we're trying to reach, not renters. Renters certainly might be interested in the few events we might have this year, but they don't vote.
I have a point here. When we were working over the charter, and you have no idea what we probably discussed in there.
Yeah.
We don't define homeowners, et cetera. It's really residents. Regardless of if they're renting, they're still using the services, they're still, paying taxes, et cetera, but they're a resident. That's why I was kind of commenting. I saw that on two areas, which cites the owners.
Okay. I'm fairly flexible. But social media, that's the one thing. I don't think that we should get into the area of people commenting and then having to respond to that. Same thing with the moderator. I don't know if anyone is active on any social media site with a moderator, but moderators have their own opinions, and they will moderate according to their opinions. I just think that's a bad idea overall. Dialogue between city officials, property owners should take place here or through the office. Shouldn't take place anywhere else. Shouldn't take place through email, shouldn't take place through social media, shouldn't take place anywhere else. I don't think. Anyway, that's a few thoughts that I had rolling through my brain yesterday or the day before.
Okay, are we discussing?
Yep.
So I read through this and I agree with a lot of what you said. The only thing I kind of disagree with is, I think one of the problems the city has is getting information out to the majority of the residents. If we rely simply on people who volunteer to have their email address with the city, or we send out the postcard and it relies on people requesting information, we're not going to reach the vast majority of the residents. Most of the residents of this city, and it's probably true in most cities, don't pay attention to what's going on until there's some issue. And so what happens, and we've seen it a lot, is you get a small group of local people who go on social media, sometimes unintentionally and sometimes intentionally providing bad information, and it gets people all worked up. So I think whatever solutions we come up with, part of it has to be a push of information from the city out to the residents. It can't all be those who elect to get their email on the list, or those who elect to come into meetings, because we know how few people actually come to meetings. So I think it's got to include stuff that the city says, this is important, we've got to go out to the residents, and we push it out there. And if people ignore it, they ignore it, but at least we're making the effort.
Let's just say if we make them aware, there are various options. Email is one way. If they sign up for email and there are issues, they can get an email blast that will go out to whoever would sign up for that. There'd be a portion that would do that. There'd be a portion that wants a flyer or postcard mailed to them instead. It'd be beneficial cost-wise to try to limit those postcards. We would want to mail out to the entire city each time. So, but I agree. We do need to. You can't force them to participate, but we do need to put it in front of them so they will respond or not respond.
I'd like to add something to that. I wholeheartedly agree that we don't need an open forum with the information that we release to the public. However, social media is the media of choice for many people. The fact that media is in some ways being used against us at times, it is not good. But that's because we don't have our own official presence. Would Facebook be a place that I would want someone to leave a message for Lynn? Probably not. But there's no reason at all why a message left to Lynn on Facebook could not go to him. But nobody could see it. It would be, basically, it would arrive in his email just like any other Facebook message does. Whenever you get a notification, you get a notification based upon the email address that it's registered to. Therefore, it becomes public record. So we don't really have to worry so much about having a forum on Facebook. We don't have to worry about debates. We don't have to worry about much of anything other than replicating the message that we're trying to get out. And so In my opinion, obviously email is one format, postcards may be another, Facebook may be another, may even go as far as maybe I don't know, Instagram or something. I don't know what everybody's into, but certainly we're not doing enough now, and as long as we are trying to get a message out, I think it's our responsibility to make sure that it gets out in every format that's practical to release that information on without creating controversy. And these tools are free, and honestly, it takes 5 minutes to create a Facebook account. Throw a picture on there and bang, you're the official website of Bel Air Beach or the official Facebook page of Bel Air Beach. So if you're dropping a message in the web server, yes, it's going to triple your time to drop it off in 2 more places, but realistically, how much time does it take to drop a paragraph off on a form?
Either is, when you start talking about no cost, there is a cost involved. I don't know, city manager, how much free time do you really have? I mean, I understand you answer comments from people, drop in, but if you were to have the following Facebook account that you're monitoring, so you have to dedicate, say, 5-10 minutes a day, out of your schedule that you have now. If you had a web page that requires update time, do you actually have the time budget for that, or do you have the staff to cover those additional hours?
We don't currently have staff, we kind of, Patty's responsible for the website. She updates that. And if people send me emails, of course I respond to them. If they're sent to Patty, she'll forward them to me and I'll respond. People drop in, call, yeah, I respond to those.
Question, can people leave comments on the city's website?
No,
It's just a
just a website.
view.
And that functionality could be added. And see, that's another problem is not everybody knows. There's probably more people go looking on Nextdoor to find out about Bel Air Beach than people go to the Bel Air Beach website, would be my guess. And I don't know why we don't have a form on our website that says, send a message to City Hall, send a message to the city manager, instead of just a phone number. Because honestly and truly, it's much faster for me to respond to an email than it is to take a phone call. Because I can take my time and respond at my leisure to answer that question rather than getting cornered on the phone for 45 minutes before they actually get their point across.
That brings up a pretty good point too about availability of the way you use it. When normally you're talking website development, you've got a pretty big screen, a lot of real estate. Most people that I've been noticing at meetings around town, everybody's doing the work on one of these. There might be an initial investment to do it, but migrating the city website to a phone-based size. You've seen some reports, you want the web version or you want the phone version. Where the phone version basically just gets you right to the meat of the matter. Here's the hyperlinks. I want to know what's going on with the city. Here's whatever construction is for city news, city updates. Here's my emergency numbers, go from there. And then perhaps the follow-on like Pinellas County has, I haven't seen this anywhere in here, is emergency warning devices. It comes in through and say, hey, you've got a Bel Air Beach update coming in for you, the following storm warnings in effect, or we've had the following, the causeway is closed, that type of emergency data. It'd be really high level stuff that would reach one of those type of broadcasts, but using the phone as one of the mobility devices, just port everything over there like you said. And again, I can type the comments and I'm waiting for a meeting, hey, I got a question about this, or what about that, or here's my input.
You talked on here about going to the property appraiser. Can we also, if we get a list of voters, then we would get the people who are residents as opposed to owners, correct?
Right. We use the property appraiser for pretty much everything from the rental registration. That's how we call what we send out from the homestead to non-homestead properties. When we do mailings we go to the property appraiser, that's what we use.
You update that database? They update the records every couple of weeks.
Yeah, we just pull it down, it's a few clicks of a button, you've got a mailing list.
So does that not include people who are renting?
It's whoever's the property owner of the property.
Paying the bill.
The people that are renting, if you send it, like we send flood facts out to the resident, so we'll pull down just the addresses, not maybe, because there may be a different property owner somewhere else, because there's no sense sending flood flags to someone that lives in,
I mean, even if you're renting, you vote here, right?
some do, some don't.
Well, I mean, that's true owners
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
So, but if you're renting a house up the street here, registered to vote here, this is where you vote. And so you vote for these members of the council, you vote on all the issues. So I don't think you can leave the renters out of this. You need to inform them as well.
And it seems I remember back when I first ran for council that you can get a list of registered voters
Yes,
from
you
the
can.
voters office. I think that, we can get the property appraisers and the supervisor of elections and mesh them, coordinate them, see who's, the property appraiser has somebody in New Jersey, but there's somebody who actually lives and votes here.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, very nice stuff, Tony. The next one on here is memo to communications board for 6/24 meeting. Whose is this one?
That's me.
Okay?
This information I organized from a course I took called Organizational Communication, and it talked about how to get positive communication and that it required a commitment. And I think that the first paragraph sets the groundwork for positive communication. And basically, you're just kind and considerate. And always to remember, if you're a city employee or employee of any government, you are held to a higher standard. So it can be hard sometimes when people are saying really inconsiderate things of you, but you just have to maintain a positive body language and not respond. And then I think that we will use the visual and the verbal, nonverbal probably more than anything, but to remember all three of those things. Here we're only talking about external communications from the city to the residents. And then the preferred method is through interpersonal means instead of the phone. I listed here the types of information to be communicated that I thought I would be interested in, but we may even want to do a survey with the citizens and find out if there are other issues that the residents would be interested in receiving. And then when each type of communication needed to be transferred, it's either immediate or routine, and I think Rob put in there periodic, which I like that periodic too. And then how information can be communicated, and then I went through the different ways to communicate information and listed those, and then just my ideas of what possibly could be communicated using those methods. I did add the one survey on the back page that we could survey the city to see what types of information they want, need, or are curious about. And then under next door, I put Little Libraries Park information boards. Although those normally aren't kept up, so they're there. We can post information there, but that's something that an employee has to go and keep up. And then videos, can we, maybe we could do something on the website. you know, like do a little thing for the citizenry about how to communicate with the city or whatever, you know, but we have that, I think we have that capability and maybe we want to use it. And then the phone calls, there are issues with that, but it's available. And then I don't remember during the hurricanes if I heard a klaxon or a siren. I definitely hear noises when different power stations go out, but does the city have a klaxon for, okay, well, you know, maybe we'll want something like that, I don't know. But that would be only to get across the idea that you need to move or you need to hide or you need to do something really quick. And then at the bottom, I recommend that we do a chart, and Rob did a much better job of showing that to everybody, and I did add the priority on that like Rob did, because we need to prioritize what type of information that we want to communicate. If there are any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
I noticed you put on here a sign at Crossman Park.
Oh, yeah, I was thinking,
We tried that several years ago and it got turned down.
maybe it's time to resurrect it.
I think part of the reason I think is they thought it was too, you say gaudy. It was sort of a stylish sign, but you know, maybe something, that we have done some of that study as to how, what angle you put it at, so that,
And you know what else? We need to look at all the accidents that happen there, because I've noticed lately that people actually go careening over there and they hit the power thing one time. And I mean, we do have to look at that, because we don't want to be paying for the sign to be fixed when these people are having their car accidents. But maybe it's time to resurrect that.
any other comments? Thank you. The next page is a blank page. Okay. Committee discussion vote points. What needs to be communicated? Whose is this one? Okay.
I think it's just a summary, just went down, what were the things that were on the agenda today? So what is the information that we need to communicate? This was my take on what that would look like. Obviously, people will have their own ideas on that. In a priority order, similar to what Kathleen did, you know, there's some things are going to be immediate, but those are very few, far between, hopefully. Most are going to be routine, and then some things might, the way I define periodic is just semi-annually or annually, things that you don't need to, you're not going to update the strategic plan, you know, but once a year, so that kind of information goes out there. Next was just some ideas on different ways that the city can communicate. Some of them the city is obviously already using, like emails and webpage, and sending out postcards. With my thoughts about some of the pluses and minuses of each one. We talked a little bit about, in the guidance we got from the council, a little bit about how do we measure our effectiveness on this. And so I just started some ideas on how we could use to measure, are we doing the things that we said we were going to do, and are we having the effect that we want to have? And then wrapped it up with some quick wins and things. I know the council wants to hear what are some ideas that they can take immediately, maybe have some feedback. And so these were the three things that I thought. I think we probably ought to have a town hall meeting. I don't know if we've done that much in the past. I've been here about 5 years and don't recall a lot of it. I know a lot of council meetings and things like that. But council meetings are very structured. You know, you've got citizen comments up front. You got 3 minutes, and you have, you know, you can't talk about anything that's already on the agenda and that kind of thing. So an unstructured or a much less structured town hall meeting where we just say, hey, we're here, city leadership is here to answer your questions, to hear your comments, to take your feedback. I think that would be the quickest way that you could get at what the council wants to get at. And having listened to the council debate this over the last couple of meetings and a couple of workshops, the level of frustration that the members of the city council have, and Dave, you obviously can talk to this, with not being able to respond to things that are out there and what they consider to be bad information that's floating around out there, you can feel the level of frustration. And so the most immediate way you can do that is get people together and start presenting what you think is the accurate information. Facebook page, like Mike said here, it's pretty simple, or Dave said it's pretty simple to do. We can, you can get that up. I agree absolutely that it shouldn't be a big debate forum, but it's a way to push information and people can send questions in to be answered. And then just something that's always kind of bothered me about the city council meetings is the citizens' comments thing at the front. There are a lot of meetings, especially for the first few years I lived here, where people would come up, they would address the city council, they would ask a question, and everybody up there on the dais would just stare back at them and say nothing. And then maybe when we got to the end of the meeting, in the city manager's closing comments, or as they went down the council members, each person gives their, kind of comments, they would address it. But lots of times they didn't. And so I think an immediate change the council could make is change the format of that. Let people come up and ask questions and get an immediate answer. If Lynn's got the answer to the question, which probably 75% of the time he does, boom, push it, give it to him right there. Or one of the other members of the council. And then if we don't have the answer, or the answer spurs further questions, then, okay, now we'll add it to an agenda, make it an item for a meeting or a workshop or whatever it is we have to do later on. So those are the things I think we can take the council can take immediate action and maybe get some benefit out of it.
I can respond to that. Basically, ever since I came on board, it's not exactly been the most enjoyable environment. There's been potential for heated debate between the council, or certain members of the council, and the citizens. And I think that we do a pretty good job of responding to questions that are not so controversial. But whenever you're asked a question, or a question or a comment is dropped to the council that you know is going to basically take over the meeting, it's best not to respond. And then going back to, which I'm sure you've been there too, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But going back to the town hall meeting sounds like a good idea, but because of sunshine law, Marv and I couldn't both be on the same panel and respond to questions about something that we may be voting on in the future, which is generally, I won't say every question is going to be that way, but there's always the potential that someone could ask a question, I could make a comment, Marv could have a comment back to me about it, we respond to them, and then a year later we vote on it. Well, now we're guilty of a sunshine violation. So it's really it's that bad.
So I thought what the sunshine law basically is, you can't have private conversations between you two. But if you're all here at the town hall meeting, it's essentially like a council meeting or a workshop. You can openly discuss anything, right?
I don't know. I'm not sure.
And that would be
what
my
the
idea,
rules
that all
are.
the city
Right.
council members and the city manager would be here, so that there's no conversations going on behind closed doors anywhere. It's here, right? In front of everybody, open to the public, all of it.
Well, I do know that if, as it stands right now, I can't converse with Marv about something that we're going to propose to the council.
Right.
And so I don't, it just gets so gray sometimes, and we're all very afraid that can happen, because it just doesn't take much to spark somebody.
But see, that's the problem, though. If you can't direct, I mean, all technology is nice and wonderful, but it really comes down to, and this is kind of grassroots hearing, is people want to be addressing their city council members in public, on the record, obviously, because once you start putting it on the record, ETC or audio, regardless of the situation, you're still within the sunshine law. And frankly, I mean, I kind of threw me from left field was the town hall meeting. I like the idea because the people feel that at least they're getting the point across directly. A lot of you saw the average age, a lot of these people don't regularly use websites. They have to be walked through a lot of things. Hey, I don't, come into City Hall because they can't navigate a website.
Right.
Even I go up there, I'm looking around, I go to other sources in terms of getting, permanent information and things. But having that town hall format is probably the best answer.
We have a lawyer, why don't we task him with setting us up with
I
the
don't know if we
positive
can,
rules?
I don't know if we can officially task the attorney.
We can ask them.
We can
ask,
ask the
yeah.
city manager to find out for us.
Yeah,
Really, the town hall forum, it can be done, it's just gotta be, if it's the council as a group, it has to be advertised as a meeting.
absolutely.
Yeah, so,
And you want to advertise it because you want as many people to come as possible.
Yeah.
right.
And I understand, because that leaves the council meeting for, like you said, you can get real fast. Versus that town hall meeting, it's free floating. And it hopefully keeps your council meeting, you guys run pretty late. I mean, you tend to bounce back and forth, and it's running out late, versus that town, look, we're gonna be here late on these twice a year. Maybe it directly positively impacts your council meetings by pushing all that minutia.
I definitely like the idea. I'm just always a little gun shy about it, just because we're warned so many times.
Exactly, but yeah, if we
It has
follow
to
the
be a formal
procedures.
meeting, it has to be a council.
But again, you saw what happened in council meeting, people get steamrolled, you get nobody wants to address it because everybody's scared to death. We gotta get past that. I know it's hard, but we gotta get past that stuff. Let's move on to maybe the town hall meeting. That's you got my backing on that sucker. That's like number one recommendation.
Do we have to do minutes of a town hall meeting?
Yeah, it would have to be an advertised,
An advertisement, then do we have to have minutes and,
right?
Agenda minute, it's a
Agendas
publicly
and all that,
noticed
yeah.
meeting, yeah, so it's just another meeting, right?
so it's not like we can just say, okay, everybody come to.
As an example,
No, but like I said,
as an example, last year, we were gonna do it this year again, we did a hurricane thing. Yes, the council members, a few of them came, and they could ask, but it was really more an informational meeting. And a lot of the town hall meetings that actually we're trying to visualize or do something about that here already with the town hall meeting. But we're looking at it more as an information meeting to just give to the public if they want to come to it, as opposed to answering a bunch of questions, because that kind of puts people, how do you say it? Puts them at a disadvantage sometimes. And then maybe this person doesn't like what this person said, so you kind of got to moderate that.
But on the same hand, it gets on the record.
Right.
Because too often, maybe I'm seeing it, but a lot of these working groups are coming to de facto council meetings. Is that almost a true statement that really you can't participate in government when frankly most of the work's been already done? At the town hall, you get it on the record and go from there.
Well, it's almost like no one on basically, you would almost need an external moderator, not our normal chair.
That'd probably be the best. The city attorney might be, I understand the cost, but that might be one of the best persons because technically he's not a voting member. He is a member, through the charter, but he can be impartial as an attorney. And just and also you got to keep it moving. Okay, next one, got it, we're handled. Let's go on to subject, whoever called in number B.
The town hall formats that I've seen on TV and in person, generally, and they came in, they filled out a card, the moderator would pick up the card, read the question, and so everybody's hearing the answer, but it's not actually the person who wrote the question who is asking the question.
Because a lot of times, some people just can't, you freeze. Get up there to mic and it goes to hell, so.
There are a lot of ways to do that. That's a good way to do it. And I think one of the, the difference, Lynn, is, like the hurricane briefing, that was a good thing. Push information about a specific topic. Maybe we do one about floods or whatever. But in this case, I think part of what the council is trying to get here, Dave, correct me, is ways not only to provide information, but ways to get feedback from the residents.
Two-way street.
Right. And so that's why this kind of forum, where there is not, the agenda simply is we're here to respond to you, residents. And people can have, there could be 10 different topics as opposed to just one.
And you got a lot of stuff out, God, if I got a recall effort, I'll just, right now, probably say, I'm assuming there's a recall effort out there right now. And you got to lance that boil. Right now, we're festering. And you get people up right there in public, yeah, it'll be ugly, it'll be dragged out, but hey, we're a small community, we'll go over it, we'll move forward. But we got to be done.
And to make matters worse, even the meetings that we're having, we have very low attendance. And people don't know what's going on. They don't know what's going on until they've heard it second or third hand. And by that time, it may not necessarily be accurate. So one of the items that's it keeps coming up every time we have to do one of these virtual meetings is how to actually do that and not look like we don't know what we're doing. You can't hear anybody. It's echoey. There's all these things. So this last week I was looking into economical equipment because we're talking about redoing the sound system and all of these things. And basically, there's some tools that I found that really aren't all that bad in price that will incorporate sound, video, and everything. So even a meeting like this, right now with the equipment that I'm looking at, anybody out there can go to, say, YouTube and watch this meeting real time as it's happening. So they don't have to wait until they get Patty's minutes or even worse, the Beach Bees interpretation of what just happened. And so, that's definitely something that I would like to see is, especially with this COVID stuff, I don't want this building full of people. Normally I would love it, but right now I don't, just because of the risk that go along with having large crowds in small places. So as we get to how to deliver the message, that's one of the things that I'm going to bring up and show everyone what I've found. And if we have time, if we get to the quick hitters, which we're supposed to have something for the first council meeting, I'll speak a little and talk about projected cost and things like that, because I think it's something that really should go right to the top of the list is how do we have these meetings. I would be a bit surprised if we're not allowed to come back one day for a month, 2 months, whatever. It just all depends on what happens. But you see right now, it was optional until yesterday. Now we're all forced to wear masks. And so this is very important. It needs to be resolved.
So anyway, that was a rundown of my thoughts, and I'm ready to answer any questions.
They're excellent ideas. From what I'm hearing just from the discussion, it sounds like a town hall meeting could be at the top of one of our priorities. And whether we do it now with all this stuff going on, I'm not sure. But, and then having a moderator who's not a council member seems to make sense, that it would be a neutral person that,
Why not grab a former mayor?
pardon?
Why not grab the former mayor? Just rotate them through.
Yeah,
Mayor's used to running a city council meeting, if you got the former mayor going up there, look, that's impartial, I mean, well, I'm assuming they're impartial. But they know how to run the meeting, they understand some of the dynamics going on within.
okay.
And it's kind of a higher level of respect, you know, somebody's going, oh, you're biased, no, I'm former mayor, kind of understand the give and take.
The only problem with the, I mean, I like the town hall, obviously, I suggested it, and I think that's something that could be done quickly. We have, as Dave pointed out, though, with current conditions, it can be tough to execute. But again, you know, the big weakness with the town hall, like the webpage, is it's only the people who elect to come in or to attend it. We still have to wrestle with the harder thing, is how do you push information that you think the residents should have out to them? So that even if I'm not paying attention, something comes to me that makes me maybe pay attention.
We'll get the usual, if we have a town hall meeting, we'll get the usual suspects.
Yeah, quite possibly. But could I recommend though, I mean, it sounds like we may have one idea for the go-ahead, just rapidly put that in there, and then go to where you're thinking your direction is for this meeting?
Okay?
Just a comment, the town hall meeting's already on our strategic plan objectives. It's already there. So it's just, we've got to figure out how to do it. It's already one of the objectives.
I agree. It's still put forward as a recommendation from the council. It just kind of gives additional information to the council that said, look, you're not kind of striking out alone here. We're also with you on this issue.
Yeah, I just wanted, that's one of the objectives for the staff.
Maybe the first place we need to start is get a functional list of property owners, residents, whatever, and then get something out to them, get the property appraisers and the voters registration, so we know, so we can get information about the town hall meeting or,
Are you referring to email?
pardon?
Are you referring to sending emails or a postcard or?
Well, if we go to the public records, like the property appraisers, those guys, do they have emails on them?
No.
No. It might have to be actual hard copy.
See, the problem with extracting a list from anything and sending email is it's illegal. So you can't just arbitrarily say, I've got his email address, so I'm gonna blast him with unsolicited mail.
No, I would think if we send a postcard out or something and then say, we're looking to expand our communications both ways. How can we communicate with you? Check one. Real mail, email.
That's,
Well, see, there's services out there, and, they're not super expensive, they're not overly cheap either, but there's services where literally you can sign up and pick your communication method, and either one of these two here could send an email. One email, and it automatically goes to everybody on the list in their preferred format. It's not that hard. We don't do it. We don't spend the money on, that type of communication, because nobody's ever said this is what we want to do. This is the way we're going to communicate.
but this is where we're going to bring it up then. And I agree with that idea. Definitely, I've seen those systems. You definitely want to be part of that one.
We've got the constant contact thing, which is poor, from what I understand.
It's the constant contact is only as good as the list of addresses.
Yeah.
And it's just so hard to have an accurate list. You almost have to start from scratch, and because you're still sending out emails that are never read because people change email addresses many times throughout their lives. I've probably got 20 of them, but I only use 2. I know.
I'm just curious, sorry,
Oh,
moved it away, realized, last thing, sorry about that. Like I get you're talking about the automatic system, I got the alert Pinellas today with the heat wave. I got it over text and email, and I know, we have a townhome in Largo, and sometimes I'll get specific, Largo-specific alerts. Is there a way to tap into their existing system?
yeah, what it is you log into Alert Pinellas and you select where you want to receive messages from, what areas. It's all completely automated.
Is it all from Pinellas County, or is it something that Bel Air Beach is able to tap into? if we need to do something?
feed into it.
Correct.
We have the option to do that. Lane and I have had this discussion, and basically they've clamped down on what they, my wife, she gets them from Treasure Island. And they used to send humor in their messages to make them a little more readable, you know. And it's my understanding that apparently they weren't supposed to be doing that, and they put a stop to it. So if it's a water main break, I'm sure that's acceptable. But if it's come to the town hall meeting, it's unacceptable.
Yeah, it's meant for emergency management, and those emails are not public record. So no one could, you couldn't go to Pinellas County and ask for a copy of those emails on Alert Pinellas. And we've got that on our website and promoted. And, we could establish a small one for this community, but which is fine. But the thing is, other than emergencies, what would we put on it? And through the COVID, I think the state found out that some cities were using it in other ways, and the state has cracked down on that and said, hey, no, it's for this, and it's limited.
Do they limit the data that you can put on there, the amount of information you can put on alert?
No, it's not, it's the message that you're putting on there. Like, you can't put that tomorrow we're having a picnic. That's not what it's for. It's for something like a water main break, power's out, there's a hurricane coming, get your sandbags, things like that. But it's not to advertise a social event. And some of the cities were kind of sliding that way, and I guess the state came in and cracked down on it.
But also, if you were using that system, there is a limit to the number of characters. It's SMS until you hit a certain number of characters, and then it's MMS, and then that's whenever it's not the same system anymore. So.
Yeah, they do have, guys, just doing a quick check, sir. Pinellas is brought up by, was it Everbridge? That might be somebody to check into directly, because it's nice, you notice that the Alert Pinellas works. We can't get into it, obviously, we can't feed it. However, if you perhaps look at Everbridge, I don't know what the hosting account is, but using them, just like an Alert Pinellas, is an alert Bel Air Beach, and then you can control the message at that point. It's up to you. I mean, you own a system, you run it, you pay for it, you put whatever you want on it.
The problem is a service like that is designed for large communities. A good one, what was that service we looked at early on? I forget what it was called, but it was sort of like Alert Pinellas.
Code Red.
It may have been that one or another one, but they wanted something crazy like $5,000 a month or something to feed 500 or 600 email accounts. It was, or
CFix Click, that's another one.
that was another one, and it was really
It's very
expensive.
expensive.
Yeah.
You're paying $5,000 or $6,000 a year for that.
Kim?
Everbridge is actually what Alert Pinellas is.
They're the developers, but you know, we don't have to be the only person on that account. Probably another recommendation is approach, because Alert Pinellas, again, kind of locks you. You're only going to get the hurricane warning. Being facetious there, but you're really only going to get the high level stuff. If you were to say go in with other communities that have our problem, IRB, Clearwater, Bel Air Bluffs, Largo, you know, kind of communities here, say, look, we want to start a system much like the Pinellas thing. We're going to have to share the cost, but it's a minimal cost to develop the fields going, look, the information is only for Bel Air Bluffs. And when that thing gets shot out, it tells Bel Air Bluffs only, hey, we're having a parade this weekend, don't forget to drop by. Or everybody, hey, don't forget heavy traffic this week because of Clearwater's doing something. But that might be an approach level to facilitate this, go on with all the other local communities and start our own local system. It can be done, it scales very well, and it's not an additional cost to put additional query boxes. I mean, it's a database. You know, add the following cities, Largo, Bel Air Bluffs, etc., and then everybody has an administrator account, they log in, okay, I'm only feeding Bel Air Bluffs for this event. Or Bel Air Beach, you know, we're going to be only going to our people for the following things. Or, hey, we're holding whatever that festival was, check Bel Air Bluffs, IRB, Clearwater, come on down.
I wonder if that's something that the Big C might get involved in. The Big C, the Barrier Island Governments
Yeah,
Consortium. Or
absolutely. I don't see why they don't do it.
Pardon?
No, because nobody's brought it up. Look, we need a shared system and transmit something other than emergency data that we all need to know, because underneath the level of emergency is frankly living on the island, which is the big things are traffic, water, power.
So is that something you might want to suggest that we look into, some sort of Alert Pinellas-like system
Probably
to share with other communities?
the first thing is to see if there's one that's reasonable. Do we have to share with somebody?
Okay, okay.
The more we share, the less control we have over the system. But if it's just completely way over budget, something that this city cannot afford, that's probably the only way we can do it, and it's a great idea.
But again, like I said, with developers here, first of all, the infrastructure is already there, the development cost is already sunk, developed. You're just feeding the database. And really, if you open it up to everybody, you're not stealing other people's thing, you know, everybody thinks that, well, if Water's going to give, they're going to give the majority of the stuff because they pay, you know, $10,000 more. No, I think we're going to probably be by population. But again, it goes back down to the database behind everything, right? And just additional check boxes.
But generally, the services that I've dealt with in the past, just data services in general, it's the number of messages. So you're billed on, you're given so many up front, and then you're billed so many cents per message over that.
Yeah, and we'll learn at the time, you know, what really achieves that, what the council goes, and what really arrives at that level of notification through this system. Elsewise, it will go through snail mail or, you know, whatever the other methods are.
I think honestly, at the end of the day, it's something that we need, but I think it's something that won't be used every day. It will be used rarely, just because we don't have that many incidents.
Yeah, and that's the big part behind it, because then the cost really is what focuses you for just those required emails or required messages that go out. Elsewise, it goes to the sort methods, the text, the email, the snail.
And I like this list of what needs to be communicated. It's nicely put together, and it makes perfect sense.
I like the matrix, but I'd probably recommend, I saw the other one was, add the priority in there in the method. well, it's got the method, but definitely the priority, because then you can start racking and stacking all the options.
And what was the recommendation on the town hall meetings, twice a year?
This one's twice a year. Which, like I say, it's a quick, I think what the city council asked for is like, you know what, can we do quickly? Okay, town hall meeting. Well, we're not saying right now you gotta have one of these, but, okay, now, quick hit, let's start on the groundwork for this thing. We understand the following. Probably won't be in person. It's gonna need a technical method. So here's your list of things to do. Approach those various thoughts that you had by technology about audio-visual, a recording method, next, the advertising. And we'll run our way through that, like, okay, getting the word out as a door-to-door for a while, using all the methods we can legally, not accumulating database lists of email addresses, but phones, etc. Kept constant comment with the attorney to make sure that we're not violating. I knew about the email list thing. Got to make sure we don't cross that third rail as well while we're doing this. Definitely recommend. That's like number one of the hit parade. That's the one that goes right up to the top.
What's that?
Oh, this is the one. They want feedback for things they can do right now, at least to get started. Town hall meeting, especially lead time. You got to start now anyway.
I'd like to make a comment on that. I'm new, I'm sure y'all figured that out when you didn't know who my name or face was in the joint committee. I've just owned my home over on 4th Street for, I guess I'm going on 2 months now. So there's a lot of history, obviously, that I don't know anything about. So I'm speaking as a new resident, coming down wanting to learn about my new town and everything. Obviously, I went to Facebook first. I found the other group. It's the only group, type in Miller Beach, that comes up. So I definitely agree. I think we need some sort of official city site. That was just my instinct to go for information. I next went to the website, explored it fairly thoroughly, looking for information. So I found out about the ask for the communications committee, stickers for the beach, all that kind of thing. So a lot of that is on there. The town hall meeting, I think it's a great idea, but like as a new person without any history, I don't know if I would be interested in that without topics. But when I came into town hall to get my stickers, they told me about the one for hurricane preparedness. I'm fairly new to Florida as well, so it was very interesting. I had a topic that was relevant to me. I was interested in coming and learning about it when it happens. So is the town hall format, is that more of everybody just come and show up and we'll talk? Or present some specific topics that someone, whether they're a new resident like myself, who doesn't have any clue on some of the things that people are having issues with and things, or is it specific topics that you're needing feedback because it's causing a lot of problems on other social media sites? I mean, what's your thinking behind the format? Specific or just show up and chat? Because I don't have any problems. I wouldn't show up and chat. Yeah, I mean, without an idea of what's going on as a new resident, and there's quite a few houses for sale on my street. I've met several neighbors, some of them are new. They may be like me and just not, just kind of barely tuned in and just learning. I wouldn't have any reason to just show up and kind of chat at a town hall.
I would think you kind of have a combination of things. I would not recommend that it's just a show up and chat. It's come and ask questions, right? But maybe you do need a couple of drivers on the front end.
That's
The
what
city manager is going to give an update on the infrastructure projects. And the city council, or however you want to do that, is going to talk about, we're getting ready to go into the budget workup, right? Here are the things that we're starting to think about and put together on the budget, what it's looking like. Because everybody cares about their taxes and those kinds of things. So I think you could do some of those things up front that would maybe draw some people.
Yeah, that would be my suggestion. It's not just town hall meeting, but
the bigger part, I think, is you have to have it
Need a
less,
fight card.
but it's got to be less structured than the city council meetings, so that people can bring up topics that may be important to them, but didn't get onto an agenda that the council approved.
I think having a moderator would sort of help that. intermediary between the citizens and the council people, but council might think is important versus what.
And that's where they basically submit the question before the meeting, so that the moderator has a pool of questions. And the moderator, pick the question, and they present it, and maybe even say who it was who wrote the question, and then gives the council, and basically that sets the tone. Okay, this is what we're discussing right now because this was a popular question, something like that.
You want to run for 2 hours or 3 hours or wherever you're going to do it, and when your time runs out, okay, your question waits till the next time. And the smart members of the city council, and I'm assuming all 7 are smart people, will come into that thing with the things that they want to get across to the people. That's how you get to, as you're answering a question, you also are providing the information that you think people need to know about certain things.
And perhaps as a new resident, attending that and hearing other people's questions and comments would help educate you on the topics of the city. So you would then become more informed, just from attending and listening to the questions.
Yeah, but I guess one point was there needs to be kind of a poll,
Something,
Yeah.
something, yeah.
Well, for example, I'm now very interested in school board. I did attend the last council meeting and then saw pictures. We're kind of doing some work on the house and floors and stuff, so we're not actually living there. We're still in our townhome, and I come out daily and check on things. And came out in a panic when I started seeing pictures of flooding. I had no idea, so, now stormwater is a very important topic to me. So that's what I'm saying, just kind of relevant topics that, and then like you said, if I'm coming in wanting to learn more about stormwater, then I hear other concerns and questions and go, oh, okay, maybe I should be concerned about this too, or interested in this. And I definitely love the idea of sending things, especially if we have to go to an electronic format for so many things. That's very easy, and I've seen that done in some other organizations that I'm with that hold that have to hold their meetings virtually. It's very easy to submit things, and submit things real time. Submit questions, through the little chat on the side, the Zoom meeting, or however the meeting, the format's going to be. So you can have kind of a dialogue, but it is a structured dialogue. It's not a free-for-all, because the moderators, the council members, they're seeing the things come in, but they aren't necessarily everybody yelling at once, per se. It's coming in a reasonable manner, and you can choose to address what you do or don't want to answer or discuss.
So would organizing a town hall meeting be one of our first, maybe on the top of our list for, look into organizing one, how we would do it?
Yeah, concur.
Yeah. One of the things that I would put, like I said, on the top of the list is getting the lists of our residents/property owners, get those, the property appraiser and the supervisor of elections list together so that we can, I'd say, first send out a real, honest to goodness, a postcard or something with them to say, how do you want us to talk to you? And how do you want to talk to us?
That does remind me of a question I have for Lynn. I know you have to get people's permission to put them on the email distribution list, right?
Right.
But to send them something, like you're getting ready to send out, maybe you've already done it, the announcement of the stormwater fee, right? Do I need to opt in to receive those, or
No.
can you legally?
No, that's like sending out your tax bill or your water bill.
And are there restrictions on what you can send, or can the city send anything that it thinks the residents ought to know?
No,
Through mail like that?
No, you can send surveys, you can send newsletters. We send, the flood facts, we send, shortly here, it's out of the printer now, we're gonna send out something we send out every summer for the hurricane thing. And no, we can send stuff out that way. When we've attempted to try to get emails, it has not been successful. I can tell you that. And a good example is Bellevue Estates Island. We sent postcards to the 115 residents. We got 12 emails. That's it. So that tells you and I understand their concern because I've heard from some of them that said, I'm not going to give you my email because then it becomes a public record and anybody in the world can get it. Which is, some people's privacy, I guess, but they don't want that.
But I think that's that's a good thing in my mind, because when it comes to pushing information, the big limitation of email is I have to opt in for that, I have to opt in to go to a meeting, I have to, whatever. And there are things that the city wants to push out there, you're gonna have to mail it to people. So I agree with Leslie's recommendation that we work to get the most accurate hard mailing list, combining the two, tax folks and the voting folks, so that we can have the option to send things directly out to all the residents.
Are you allowed to put inserts into the water bill from Pinellas County? I've lived in cities where,
Yeah, there's a process. I'm not really sure, but it would have to be something, it's not like you could, my understanding, it's not like you can put, what's happening this week. It's stuff that's, important information that we need to get out to the residents.
It's generally items that are in some way or another relevant to what you're being billed for. Did I say that right?
Yeah, it's something to that effect.
Such as the quality of your water.
Right.
I've lived in cities where you could, if you're having a big festival, they can put a little insert in your water bill because that's going to every building that has water on it. That's why I didn't know. I know
Yeah,
some
but again,
people
we're a
don't
different
know if
city.
it's county or not, yeah.
Yeah,
Different rules.
there are limits. I don't know what they are totally, but I know there are some restrictions on what you can put. And that's because it's not ours, it's the county's water. Excuse me.
Yeah, there's another thought is leading toward expectation management. You have to manage the council as well. Obviously, we're going to get the top things you really got to hit at first, but also mention perhaps everything we've seen so far really is an opt-in system. That really hampers our purpose here, but you got to let the city council up front know that. They may know, but it's always safe not to assume. So obviously, look, we understand most of these systems are opt-in, and then here's what we're going to attempt. The following things are the mail inserts, the postcards to every address, cross those against every address so you can say, okay, who do we have? What's the penetration? You also got to look at penetration. When somebody says, well, we only got 25 cards back. Okay, what does that tell me? Out of how many addresses did it go to? It tells me my penetration for this neighborhood is 15% or 3%. That tells you the effectiveness of whatever you're putting out there. So again, we have to look at the following: the email, the SMS, which is the text, the sign. How many put that in a questionnaire? Hey, how many of you guys have driven by? You have any problem seeing the sign at night? Those type of things that figure out how you penetrate, how effective is your message that you're putting out there.
Following up on the point, most of the options are opt-in, like you said, which is why I put my number one, or the first thing I listed as a means of communicating is some kind of newsletter that you push out there using the mail system. And so to your point about expectation management, to do proactive communication is going to cost you money. So if the council is looking to not spend anything, and I'm not saying that's true, I'm just saying if that is the case, then there's probably not a lot of proactive communication that's going to penetrate well across the residents. In order to get to most of the residents, and not rely on them opting into something, you're going to have to spend money. How much that is and where it fit in the budget and all that stuff, obviously has to be worked out. It would be my opinion that the council should take a hard look at that and be willing to invest to do that.
Yeah, again, it backs out to what's your penetration you want. You want 100% saturation? Okay, it's probably, you know, like an alert Pinellas type thing, costs accordingly, versus direct mail effort. And again, the direct mail effort, a little bit different. It's going to hit primarily, it seems, the residents, not the absentee owners.
And that would be on the tax rolls, on the property appraisers.
Yeah, if you add that to it.
If you send something to every single address, and then you can pluck out of the appraisers where the tax bills are going to another address within an homestead, and then you also mail to them.
Because we know all the
Might
addresses
actually bypass
in Bel Air
the
Beach.
voter.
That's a known published item. I mean, you got that to go with. That's a good point. Called back. Yeah, it's union. We call it union query. Eliminate dupes. So you just got unique addresses and shotgun that sucker.
Yeah,
But again,
it doesn't have to
that's
have
postage.
It doesn't have to have an individual's name on it.
Nope.
You know, to be
Current
addressed.
resident of,
Yeah, current resident.
So long as on the top, you got something, hey, you know,
yeah.
this is not a scam credit card. Yes, it says resident, however, hey, important resident, you know, from Bel Air City Council about upcoming events. So you screen it by seeing what's on the envelope, or what's, you know, it's stapled. You're seeing what's going on right there.
That can't be innocuous, it has to be,
Yeah, it's got to be in their face. I
for
mean,
me, it goes right in the trash.
yeah, like I said, probably the infamous stapled flyer with the peel and stick on the cover. And really the other side saying, here's your important information, here's hurricane season, here's, you know, half page of standard stuff you should put on the refrigerator and a refuse pickup. But the rest of it is, hey, upcoming city council meeting, we're working on the following projects. Flood abatement, here's the steps, here's the streets. Did you know COVID? Oh, by the way, for Bel Air Beach, not Bel Air them, you can use umbrellas, you know, the stuff that's going on. Time sensitive, but critical to you know, the life you live here. So that's probably the second item that goes forward. Says, look, get that list, combine the two, remove the duplicates between all the addresses in Bel Air Beach, plus the homeowners of record, the property rolls, remove the duplicates, and send it. Okay, next meeting, what are we going to put on that thing?
Which I think we can get all that just off the appraisers. Because we know what our addresses are, so that's not a mystery. And out of the appraisers roll, we can figure out who is, what owner.
Absentee owners, yeah.
Absentee or not. And we don't really need the voters' registration since we're not interested in their individual names. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It might help, it might just help.
You're sending out, that could be the rapid action item. Look, we need to follow the list because here's what we want to do. Next thing out is this newsletter, or I'll call it newsletter, but that stapled pamphlet that they will not confuse with trash.
Trash, yeah.
Bulk mail too, you know, save some money.
It could be similar to, I mean, the city emails one now, right? How often does that,
We do the city news every other month. We do the flood facts in April, and that's for your flood insurance and warnings and things of that nature. So I'll ask that question. How many of you even remember seeing that?
The flood facts.
I'm away for
So it went to every address.
Yeah.
And, you know, so the people that have lived here a while, we're getting ready to send out another brochure about the hurricanes. And that's usually in this time of the year.
Perfect, we tie on to that. Once I go out, what's the due dates?
Pardon?
When's your drop dead dates for publishing in that one?
Well,
If we got stuff, let's piggyback on.
Yeah, it's already it's already out for quotes right now. I mean, we can add something to it, I'm sure, but it's out.
What's the drop dead? I mean, if we're gonna propose this to council, say, what, 2 weeks, next week?
Well, I'll have to check with Laura to find out where she's at with that, because it went to the printer last week. So if he's given us something back, we'd have to stop it at this point.
Yeah, but fair to say, I mean, that's not a bad idea to ask.
Yeah,
Point of reference, how much does it cost the city to send out the flood fax?
with postage and everything, it's right at 1,000, a little over. And we send a bulk mail to say, this little postcard for the stormwater that's going out. I'm trying to remember what that number was. It was like $800 or $900.
And that other thing you sent out, the one that's kind of general information?
It's, I want to say total last year was probably somewhere around 1,200.
Because that's the one we'd probably be leaching on. At least I'm assuming. I mean, you don't have to go out every month, but you said semi-annually?
No, we just send that out once a year. I send the flood fax out once a year. That's the only 2 mailings that are kind of planned in the budget. And
Okay.
then the other things we send, like we're getting ready to send a postcard to EDI residents that the extension for 22nd Street was approved by 65% of considerations on the next council meeting. So that's we send out little postcards for that.
Hey, Patty, this question's for you. How many households pick up Bel Air Beach stickers for their cars each year?
Pick up Bel Air Beach what?
The stickers for their cars?
Oh, I think it's about like 800,
About 800 to 900.
Yeah, that's how
800
many
to
we
900.
order, yeah.
Is it generally a couple of cars per household? or-
Yes.
So we could
So
easily collect 400 email addresses if we required you to, as part of you receiving the sticker, we also collect your email address.
Well, yeah, you just say opt in on the form.
What's that?
You just add in, opt in the email list, that's going to give you all your info.
Something like
Right
that.
there.
Or maybe just a little form that really all you're doing is asking for their email address, but hey, you have to give them, they have to give you information anyway. It's just to show you your registration.
Tell you that your car's been stolen, right?
Exactly. So I'm just saying
That's
that's
just an added step.
yeah, it's a way to easily collect some accurate email addresses.
That's a good number 3rd step to propose to the council next week.
A little late for this year, though.
Of course.
Yeah, but you're telling me the
I'm
council.
just talking about the future,
That's what this means about all the future, but yeah, that's a good number 3. And it's no cost.
Back me up. What was number 2?
Number 2 was, I think, piggybacking onto the existing
That's right.
mails, snail mails. Yeah, and by combining the addresses, grab all the all the regular addresses in Bel Air Beach, and then using the tax rolls, pull them together, remove any duplicates, which gives you residents and homeowners, and that's your basis for snail mails.
And then just send it to resident of
Exactly.
resident at this address.
But yeah, not sealed envelope, it's one of those fold-up type things where they see really, here's the content right there, so they don't toss it.
Lynn, that Excel database, is that something that you guys know how to manipulate and turn into?
That's how we do a lot of things. That's
Yeah,
how
do
I find
access.
out all the
Okay.
non-homestead addresses when we do that mailing for the railroad registration.
Excel, huh?
That's
How it comes from the appraisers in Excel, it's spreadsheet.
Sorry, database guy.
Yeah, you just have to pick some,
Yeah, it's simple.
very,
Nothing exotic.
no.
For me, it is. It's
Well,
not me, so,
Laura takes care of that.
Yeah, the key on that is if we ever go to like an SMS system, if they want a database flow, it's easily transferred to CVS file, and just sucks right into a database.
So are you gonna volunteer to do that, Tony? Is that what I heard?
Sure.
You got that minutes back?
Put that on the record.
Pardon?
Could take me
Put
some
that on the
time.
record.
Okay.
Lunch tomorrow?
Okay. So you got setting up town hall meetings, getting a list of voters, tax rolls and so on, and all the city addresses. Changing our procedure for the getting car stickers to get email addresses if they'll.
Phone number if possible.
And phone number. And do you have to give phone numbers for that, Patty?
No.
Okay.
We get requests.
That's true.
Problem is knowing what to do with them.
Oh, I know exactly what to do with those. Those phone numbers you're talking, if we ever go to a SMS system, at least you got that in your back pocket ready to go.
If it's a cell phone number?
Yeah.
Or if it's a landline?
Regardless, it'll put it out there. I mean, some systems, I gotta double check, but I think some landlines it'll ring. But that's the other, perhaps the fourth is, take a look at the feasibility of a local notification system.
Well, you can't just collect the numbers in anticipation of using a system like that. You have to opt in, just like for emails, you have to opt in for text as well.
Oh, yeah, I understand, but
Understand, but at least you're getting the phone numbers up front. You can put that on whatever you're collecting, say, look, in the possibility of a future system, we'd like to get your phone number, because we have to contact you regarding this. And then, once it does happen, yes, you have to go to, normally with these systems, you do not opt in through anything else other than a website. You gotta log in, go through the machinations of that to actually get into the system, such like Pinellas. We're gonna hit a wall there in some cases, because not everybody's fluent enough to really use a website. Not everybody, median age, what are we about, 56 around here, 60? A lot of these people were right at the age of the internet generation. But yeah, it's nice to have it just in case.
A good service that we select a good service, they're actually going to have something in place for regular telephones. So basically, whenever you select what your method is, let's just say that if Patty needs to get a message out to everyone in Bel Air Beach, it's going to know, based upon the way that you're signed up, it's going to know whether you're email, whether you're text, or if you're voice. And if it's a decent system, it's going to convert that over to a computer-generated voice and just read the message out as soon as somebody picks it up.
Yeah, and if you fit all three, it's going to hit everything.
I think her name is Ursula.
Ursula?
That's computer, never mind.
Yeah. You're going back. But yeah, depending on the system, they'll hit you every which way, including forwarding to whatever phone number you said, hey, forward my existing selves at this number.
And this is a software application that we need to look into?
No, Ursula was just something else. But yeah, there's applications.
Basically, I'm just going to take some time this week and see what's out there, see if there's anything that's reasonable for a small community, and if it looks like it's way out of our budget, which I'll know pretty quick. And that's whenever we'll look at the higher dollar ones and see if other communities would like to join in and share the system. I think the problem you'll have is whenever you try to do larger, you bulk everybody together, the services may not be necessarily, may not be able to differentiate. So Indian Rocks may get Bel Air Beach or whatever. So the more features they have and the more capable they are, obviously the price is going to go up. But
Yeah, and it's no different from a lot of companies, because a company will segregate their messages, say, look, I only want to send this to accounting, such as this, we're quote, the county, and we're going to segregate it, okay, I want to send this message to finance and accounting, IRB and Delaware Beach, same type of system. The systems are set up for that type of all or nothing or specific parts of the company.
What else do we want? These are, three, quick step moves that we can present to the council on week through Monday.
Well, this would actually be a good time, if it's okay with everyone. Let me just tell you what I came across. If anyone has attended our virtual meetings, they're terrible. It's not anybody's fault, we just don't have the equipment for it. With all the controversy with Zoom, getting hacked all the time, finding out that I believe they're based out of China.
Yeah, we pay for it.
Yeah, I would prefer not to use Zoom, just because of the fact that they're hacked all the time and people are jumping in and hijacking the meetings. I'm perfectly content with GoToMeeting because we're familiar with it. It already works.
Microsoft Teams is another one that's out there.
What's that?
Microsoft Teams.
Teams, yeah, and it's a little pricey.
Yeah.
I looked into it also. But at the end of the day, all of these platforms pretty much do the exact same thing. They accomplish the same goal. The problem is that you have a group of people that want to be in person, and then you have another group of people that want to stay home. They want to call in. They want to use their computer, and maybe that's how they want to communicate in the meeting. So I was watching. I've been watching all the Pinellas County meetings, and I thought, wow, these are really well organized. So I did Pinellas County University maybe a year ago, something like that. And one of the stops during this, I think it was like a 2-month class you went to once a week. One of the stops was actually going down to the county office and seeing their media center, which is right next to the equivalent of this room. It's basically right behind it. And it's a full-blown production center. Now, they have a lot of money, and they have, basically they have far more resources than we do. But one of the things that they were doing was they have a camera that I call it the producer, or the director maybe, he basically can hit a button and it'll go to whoever is speaking, okay? So obviously it takes someone with a lot of skill to do that. Also it has to be set up and maintained and whatever. So I went to GoToMeeting and I started looking at what options were out there. And they actually have a program called GoToRoom. You seen that? Okay. So basically, you're not really buying anything else. You're still using GoToMeeting. You're not buying anything else from them, but they had basically 3 different tools that they were endorsing, and one of them was made by Logitech. It's this one right here. And so
They've been around a long time.
yeah. So anyway, this is about $2,500. It's not super cheap. But on the other hand, we're talking about spending $1,000 to send out a postcard. Okay. Also, this COVID thing is not going away. So what's cool about this is that it'll interface with GoToMeeting, and the camera and the microphones will sense who's speaking, and automatically it'll just, you start talking, it'll go there. In the case of you guys are sitting together, well, it'll recognize that you're sitting next to each other, Normally, it would show your facial expressions also. So you would see, you'd say something and you'd see what this guy's thinking, you know. We don't, nobody can see what we're thinking now. We're all bandits, but I thought that this was a great tool. And then to take it a step further, because it's got a video output, with the use of a computer, you could plug into it, and now you can do a YouTube live stream of the meeting. Also, a speakerphone will plug right into it, so that if someone wants to call in on a regular telephone, or, well, let's say for GoToMeetings, we provide a phone number anyway. So it all interfaces together. You've got nice speakers, you've got microphones spaced out. It doesn't require everyone to have a microphone, but it's really sensitive and directional. I'm thinking this is something that we should look into, because I don't think this problem is going away. And there's one person here.
I agree with you. I mean, Logitech, been working with those guys for at least 30 plus years. I mean, they're dead on good gear.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave you a copy of this, and then if it's not in any violation, since we've just discussed it, I'll email you a copy, and if you don't mind, just send everybody one to at least think about. I'm going to, I would like permission from this council to actually, from this committee to present this to the rest of the council members and put it on the agenda, because I think it's something that actually needs to happen now.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I mean, they got to start going forward, because they don't have technology, that you don't have you don't have a CIO here, so he can't tell you, hey, well, this is the best system to use.
Right. Well, I think Logitech, out of the 3 systems that I looked at, that GoToMeeting was recommending, and I believe Logitech was the cheapest of them all. And we know, everyone knows Logitech. Every webcam I have is Logitech. Speakers, microphones, they've been doing it for years, and they're really good at it.
Is that recorded, or will we still do the, what's his face, taking the movies, or taking the film?
Well, actually, what you would do is on GoToMeeting, you would just say record the meeting, and then it would be.
And we can put it on our website.
Yeah, the Logitech, that's the hardware, the hardware model of it.
Right. There would obviously be some training hurdles, and I'm not saying this, that you're not capable of doing it, Patty, but more than likely I would come down and assist, and we would set it up and we would test it, and you know, and verify that everything works right, and make it to where we can actually hear each other whenever someone is not here. The speakerphone is great, but not really for this format. It just does not work.
Yeah.
So,
One final option I was thinking, when I thought about all this stuff going forward, and we got a great start there, is perhaps adding the final thing, and that is reach out to the other communities, like, what are you doing? Basically answering the following questions. What are you putting out there? How are you putting it out? What's your penetration? Would you do anything different? And we're talking to various cities. I mean, you're talking to Clearwater, and NIRB, Bel Air Bluffs, Largo, that are all in this area. County may be reaching a little bit too far, but it gives you a good scope of size. Difficulty, I mean, you never go, Clearwater, they got money. Well, they also got a huge population. How do you guys reach out and do that? You know, what is your method? How do you get 100% penetration? What's your comeback? You know, how many people actually show up at your meetings? Largo, I mean, you got anybody out there doing these things, or do you split it up in various areas? That'll be something to go for, is a reach out, a survey almost of communications authorities.
Or maybe we can call folks that I know in the other cities and see.
Yeah, their communications officers or committees, or what are you doing? Because they always say best practices used on the council. Well, we're doing best practices.
Yeah, right. Okay.
You know, something Dave said made me think about a question. Some of these systems, I don't know about this one, but in some of those meetings and sitting through GoToMeeting, city workshop, part of our limitation was we don't have somebody trained, or we don't have somebody who can be the moderator and those kinds of things. Made me wonder, the guy, and I'm sorry, I don't know his name, who does the videotaping of city council meetings when everybody is here.
He's actually volunteer, I won't say it's volunteer.
paid employee.
I'm sure he's paid well to do it, but.
But my point was going to
He said he
be,
could do that.
if you're doing virtual meetings and you're not having the meeting here, so he's not videotaping here. So is that guy available then to do something else, same time frame, he's already being paid?
Well, no, he isn't being paid unless he's videotaping the meeting.
Right, but you can expand that, right?
Yeah, well, here's the problem. Videotaping is easy. You come to the meeting, you turn it on. It's the editing that takes forever, right? And so, you know, maybe we don't do so much editing if we have better recording equipment. If we've got a camera that's already moving things around, he could pretty much be the moderator for the call-ins.
And that's my point, you don't have to have an additional person, maybe we can just use that guy a little bit differently when you do these virtual meetings for the same, basically the same cost of him.
Yeah. Well, what I'm getting at is I personally, I think that every meeting here should be virtual. Not that I want all of us out of the building, but the point is that we need to have a way that everyone can participate. People are not going to want to come in here as long as we're all wearing masks. It's just not going to happen. You know, we had great turnout, and as soon as this hit, it's a ghost town now. And I don't want it to be this way. I want everyone to participate again, because it was, even though it was controversial at times and heated at times, it's still, we've made a lot of progress, and it's imperative to me that the city know what's going on, and they need to be able to speak at the agendas or you know, talk about each agenda item. Just like they were here, and they may very well participate more if they're not having to come here. So, for the record, I just don't want 5 hours of comments like yesterday's meeting. That was awful. You know what I'm talking about? The county meeting on the mask vote. That's how long it lasted. It was literally 5 hours of people calling in.
And we have talked to Victor, he hasn't come back with us, you know, if he can do moderation and stuff. So those are things we actually, we're doing this thing with the overhead and rewiring some things. So we've got some projects that we're doing already to that effect.
And once we figure out what we do, then our next communication will be to tell people, here's how you get on our meetings. Here's how you get to meetings.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. And that's what the county does, and somehow they manage it. Fortunately, we don't have the entire county. We have the city of Bel Air, so it's not going to be that crazy like it was yesterday. But I understand people are passionate about this, and they definitely deserve to be heard. So.
Made some definite progress, but thank you for looking into that. Comment on there?
Sorry?
No, I just want to make sure that you have what you need, I guess, to go before the council.
Yeah.
On our deliverables for the first meeting.
Yeah. Set up town hall meetings, get the list of residents, voters, a card out to them saying, how do we communicate with you? Email, real cards, you know.
Well, it looks like we can use, I'm using the deliverables from the charter, from our charter for the first.
Yeah,
And we can pretty much use Rob's, I think, excellent matrix for the first part, and then if we have considered privacy and budget, we could do a good job of that with what we know.
That's our final report. This is the internal.
No, this is supposed to be basically the quick hitters, that the immediate things we can take action on now.
So then do we need to come up with some way that we're gonna figure out like the, what you call it, how well we did? Are we gonna do MOPS and MOPs and MOAs on those quick hitters? Are we
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
Are we responsible for providing to them ways that we're gonna track ourselves, like the MOPs and MOEs, the measure of performance and measure of effectiveness for the quick hitters?
No, I think we're just getting these subjects out there.
No, just get
We're,
it out there.
okay,
Yeah, you can't really do anything until you do this first establishment, get the first items out there into the wild. Okay, now we can start digging.
yeah, but you gotta have some kind of idea of how we're gonna measure effectiveness.
Can't
Yes, I
really
think
do it
we-
until you get the basic subjects out there, then we can dig into it. That's where you start saying, okay, we're gonna tackle the following things.
But
How are we
some-
gonna attack it, what sort of benefit of penetration, our effectiveness, et cetera.
So it sounds like we pretty much covered what you need then? Pardon? Then we pretty much covered the topics that you need for the
Yeah.
meeting?
To get us through next month's council meeting.
Okay, so to recap, the town hall meeting, since we don't have a specific date, and that could very well be 6 months out, is that really considered a quick hitter, or is that just, hey, here's something that is it's number one on our list, can we have one?
It is a quick hitter because of
in
the
2
lead time.
times?
Because there's things you gotta start doing right now, after you say 6 months, start it.
Yeah, I think the recommendation is to do the town hall meeting, but to do it within the next 60 days. At the outset.
I don't know about 60 days, but yeah, I mean, you got some time in there. But anyway, get it forward, say, look, we gotta do a town hall.
Figure out what the subject might be.
Yeah, and then they came back to us and said, okay, give me the schedule, give me the moderators, give me the dates, give me the, how you gonna run it.
Organized, when we actually schedule it is another question, but get the framework set up.
Okay, so we're scrubbing the mail addresses, but is that actually a quick hitter, or is that just part of a larger solution?
It's part of the larger, but again, it's a quick hitter because you gotta reach out right now. Before we go any further into doing mails or stuff, you need the initial list, and that's out there. We just have to get it and get that put together.
Okay, so
If
that's,
I'm, with listening to how he's described, City Manager described how he's sent out mailings, I think you're already doing that, right? I mean,
You
you're,
already have that.
yeah, and that's how he communicates already, so I don't even know if that needs to be a suggestion. He is pulling them off the county records, he is sending them out to the residents as resident of, so I don't even, that's done, right?
Yeah, that's, we already use that system, so
So you have the residents and non-residents,
we have the what?
the absentee owners,
Yeah, we have everybody's address.
okay?
So we're just gonna need to phrase what we're gonna put on our postcard. We're working to communicate better with the residents, property owners in Bel Air Beach. How would you like us to communicate with you? How do you want to communicate with us?
I'd probably give it more than that, at least my initial thoughts, not a postcard. I mean, if you're gonna do it, you got the addresses, you're paying for it, let's go. One page, both sides. Yeah, there's a questionnaire at the bottom, how do you wanna go forward from here? But hey, right now, Communications Advisory Boards and Committee, this is what we recommended, these are the first 3 things we wanna look at. Next, here's a list of the city council dates. This is our next meeting. If you want to come provide input to the communications, by all means, come on down. Don't blow it all on a one-question postcard. You're going to do it?
Yeah.
Do it.
All right.
while we're at it, is there any reason why we can't be collecting this information on our website? Is it possible to set up a form on there? Has anyone tried it?
Oh, I'm sure we can do that. We just go to digital, you'll work it out.
I mean, it's there, let's use it.
Drug traffic?
Yeah. And as far as the Facebook page goes, that's another way that possibly we could collect information. The only thing that I don't like about the Facebook page is they're collecting your information, so maybe that's not such a good idea.
I much prefer our city website than Facebook.
I agree. I think what, if, once we get a page, a Facebook page, we can put a blurb on there that says, go here and give us your contact information if you'd like to receive messages from us.
Yeah, exactly, and then you put it for you can also, if you're using Facebook, again, it's a locked account, you're just saying, we're gonna post stuff here. You know, it's only going through the city, it's a matter of public record, yeah, the following meetings are being held on these dates. You want to store information, contact this number. There's no comments, there's no repercussions, it's locked, just info. You know, other cities do it too.
And we're gonna change our getting car stickers to collect their emails and their phone numbers and so on, or ask them for them.
Have an opt-in.
Yeah, ask them for them, whether they choose to or not is another question, but at least ask them.
Now, again, Lynn laid out an order, a logical order, but it's not necessarily logical to give the quick hit. The quick hitters are not part of the logical list, the logical order of things. So, whenever you present this, don't be surprised if it's not what he wants to hear, but at the same time,
Doesn't bother me in the least.
it's the quick hitters, we need to fix some things now, and that's what's most important. So, this will actually all wash out, and it'll be fine.
And then the last one is going to be to recommend the virtual meetings to get to the largest population.
I'm sorry, what?
Is the last one then to recommend the virtual meetings to get to the largest population?
Yeah, we're doing research into the,
I mean, we know that's the reason, you have to have the technical answer ready to go, and that's the research. That's what Dave's doing, it's like, okay, the best approach perhaps at this point for our price point is the combination of the investment in the hardware coupled with an existing platform that gives us the best bang for the bucks.
Basically, what this thing does is this replaces one human, because it takes two to run one of these meetings. And if you're going to have people here, and you've got people coming up here and giving comments on whatever the topic is, that camera is going to sense them, and it's going to get their face, and it's going to record them clearly, and everybody that's up in this area is going to be recorded and seen on camera and heard, which we've never had before because we just don't really have the equipment for it. Even these things kind of struggle. But it will, I think that it's something we need.
Dave, you're gonna give that info to Patty and then she'll.
Yes, I am, and what I'm going to do is, I understand that if the city decides to make a purchase, more research will have to be done. So this is a system like this, something that does this functionality so that you don't have to man a camera and control a go-to meeting at the same time. Because unfortunately, as Patty has found out, you can't do it with a speakerphone. It just doesn't work.
Any other comments? Lynn, got any comments? Patty? Okay, we got the council meeting on the 6th. Do we want to have our next meeting on July 8th, which would be 2 weeks from tonight?
I would prefer not to have one that same week.
Okay, no problem. How about the 15th? How about the Ides of July, July 15th?
I am out of town until the 16th.
Oh,
I get back on the afternoon of the 16th.
Doesn't have to be a Monday, does it?
No,
No,
It's
no.
Wednesday.
today's Wednesday, right?
Yeah, it's a Wednesday.
Would you like the end of the Thursday, the 16th in the evening?
That looks good to me.
Pardon?
Good here.
Sure.
Anybody got 6 o'clock on Thursday, the 16th of July?
Works for me.
Now, do we owe the mayor and the city council a way ahead? Like, you're gonna brief all of these things, like this is what we're gonna do, short term, what we recommend? Do we owe them anything that?
Yeah, I'm gonna, no, that's,
It's a verbal report.
yeah. Just gonna give a verbal report and,
Then just tell them that we're working on
yeah,
specifics
here's
and
where
we're
we are,
waiting
here's what
for.
we suggest doing now and looking into these things for future.
You want to get the resident input.
Yeah, I think that'll do it.
What I'll try to do after you give your update, I'll have more information on this and have something ready to present so that at least they're aware of the technology, because I don't know if anyone else is, but no one has discussed this. I didn't know that you could just, that this was already here. It's like a little robot.
Let's do it.
All right. Anyone got anything else?
So when we come back on the 16th, what will be the agenda?
Well, we will have gotten feedback from the city council from the presentation the week before. And we will,
I would recommend that we start to do what Kathleen started to do, was let's just go down the deliverables then and attack them in order.
Yes, yes.
okay,
And that way we can, plus whatever the council gives us guidance coming out of that meeting on the 6th. But the first thing would be, let's go down that order of deliverables.
And, you know, it's like the first, what needs to be communicated, we're almost there. I mean, we've got plenty of bullet points of what we want to communicate. Some of it we're already getting, some of it we're not, and there just needs to be a good, efficient way of doing it. So that's the first thing that's on the list is what, you know, so.
And then how will be answered when we get postcards, you know, how they want to do it. How
Yes.
they want to be communicated to, so.
And when.
some
Say before it happens.
definitely, yeah. Okay. All right, and I thank everybody who sent Patty your comments, that was very helpful. Okay, anyone got anything else?
Okay, so we'll work on what, how, well, what and when. Because I dream about this stuff, it's horrible. Get up and write it down. That's what you want.
I'm sorry, I'm having trouble hearing you, because it's stupid.
Oh, I know. You just want us to work on what and when and for the next,
Right.
okay.
Okay, I make a motion to adjourn.
Second?
So moved.
Anybody else want to stay? No? All in favor?
Aye.
All right.